Let's give the people what they want. Come on.
London 18, Wigan 16. London managed to maintain their 2-point advantage from half-time where it was 12-10. 2,586 to be precise, was the highest crowd that the Broncos have had at Ealing Trailfinders so far. That new stand that looked like it was just about being started last week was finished for this week. So I don't know what's going on at Headingley, but they need to get their London builders up. Although the roof did seem like it was going to blow off at any given moment, to be honest. So still work to be done, maybe. Tom Grant was the referee and did okay in this one. Stats-wise, there was barely anything to tell between the sides on the stats in a game that had the best overall tackle success rate of any of the 2019 games so far. Both sides with over 94% tackle success rate. Wigan slightly better, but not by much. Wigan was slightly better, although not by much, in metres and errors too. London was slightly better, although not by much, in breaks and offloads. The biggest difference in the stats was penalties. Wigan conceding 10 to London 6, so Wigan have to point at that and blame themselves for the position they found themselves in. Individually, Kieran Dixon, 1 try, 6 tackle busts, 164 metres, 95 of those on that 1 try, and 2 clean breaks. Elliot Keir was very impressive and hard working. Captain's knock, you could argue. Although Jay Pitts was the captain to start the game, I think Elliot Keir took on that role, it felt like. 153 metres, 3 successful offloads. Eddie Batty, 1 try, 40 tackles. Luke Yates.
An extra stat for Eddie Batty, one sandwich smashed.
One sandwich
as well.
smashed, yep. Luke Yates, 55 tackles, 11 marker tackles. He is a man to watch in those tackle stats this year. Joe Bullock, 134 metres for Wigan, impressed again. Alongside him, the other 2 starting middles had good games as well. Romain Navarrete, 117 metres. Tony Clubb, 1 try and 104 metres. Do you want to start us off with Fat Boy Rob?
Yes, Fat Boy Rob says Cockneys beats cheats.
Tom Andrews said Sandwich Smashers beats Pies. Hope it was worth the drive, Mark.
At GMC Wiggles says, wow, at the start of the season I just want to see some performances from a young, hungry side to be proud of, and today the Broncos delivered again. First half was scrappy to say the least for both sides. Second half was tense. Whole London team played great. I thought that everyone's favourite Buffalo Farmer was superb again. Can you tell where we went over the page? What a day. Could London actually do it and stay up?
Well, I'd say they're probably another 5 wins away from that yet, but it started well at this stage. David Lorrow said, I'm concerned. Wigan's defence has gone and their attack is without purpose. I truly hope that this is a new coach transition phase rather than Lamb being shite. With Edwards seemingly getting cold feet, could Wayne be back by Easter?
Well, if Adrian does go, I suppose it'll be lamb chop.
I'd be shocked if Wayne was back by lambing season. Paul Chamberlain, what did he have to say?
Apparently a Broncos ticket is the new London designer drug of choice. Cheaper than a weekend on the Bugle, but with the same short-term high and 3 days of self-loathing about the direction of your life. The second half felt almost biblical. A team and a sport in search of a purpose and meaning. Walker, Batty, Smith, superb.
Yeah, young Morgan Smith came off the bench, and him and Paula Abdul, were very composed in closing out the game. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. Carsten said, first half, London dropping balls and Wigan didn't take their chances. Mark still optimistic. Second half, now it's Wigan's turn to drop balls. Great takes by the London backs and game management by Abdul. Mark is refs faulting now. I wasn't really. There was one call or two that I didn't like, but you're going to get them every game. Resume. Average game, cold food, shit weather, good beer, and I had the pleasure to meet more of the SLP family.
Doesn't sound too bad overall then. Paul. I presume this is Paul.
It was Paul.
Paul says, what can I say? I never expected that result from a performance. What a performance from Broncos. Credit to both teams for a decent game, considering the conditions. Also meeting the one and only Mark Hill. Always a pleasure. We'll see you again real soon.
Yeah, great to see each of those people in those last three results, and this man and this man as well, Dr. Hideous. He said, first half hour Broncos could barely get out of their own half or keep hold of the ball. The rest was pretty even. The key difference between the teams was that the Broncos took every scoring opportunity they had, working together much better than last week. I reckon we need 8 wins to stay up, and we're a quarter of the way there now after less than a quarter of the season. Result.
There we go. So, from the highlights and the play I was able to keep up with, this sounded like it was quite a game for the London side. And certainly some of the tries I saw looked quite fun, particularly the sandwich smashing it. That was probably my favourite one. But
that one was a bit of a really clever play. And to be honest, both the tries London scored in the first half were clever play. And I think they probably had cleverer players in the middle. Jordan Abdul's a very clever player. And I think Cunningham's good as well, and Fozzard had a decent game in the first half, and Morgan Smith finished the game well as well. So there was a lot to be positive about there from the way they thought the game through and planned the game out and executed.
I've heard good raps for Walker as well, the way he played, and particularly under the high ball.
Well, I was gonna say, yeah, like he was the best player out there because he didn't drop a thing in those weather, and he took a whack on his first touch of the game at the end of Wigan's first set, I think it was. It was a bit unfortunate, really. Sam had jumped for the ball, missed the ball, landed, and as he landed, took out Alex Walker. It certainly wasn't intentional, but it was a penalty, and it did look nasty. I wasn't even sure. I didn't even expect Walker to be back in this game. I didn't think
he's tougher than he looks,
and he took that knock, and he was brilliant. He kept on going in really testing conditions. Like, he took everything Wigan cooked up his way. He didn't get that much ball in attack, but I still think when he does get the ball in attack, he looks elusive and hard to put down, which did add to Wigan's frustration, I think, in this one. Dixon, Williams and Keir, I think, were also great in the Broncos' back line. And then a nod for that composed kick in at the back end of the game from Abdul and Smith that I've already mentioned. Smith making his London debut.
And the Dixon try was an outrageous intercept and gather
from... intercept?
Was he not?
No, it was a pick up off the floor after fucking Escaré fucking dropped it with fucking no one within 25 yards of him. Like, he had a quarter of the line to just put it down. A great piece of play by Williams, one of the few great pieces of play by any Wigan pivot in the game, and we couldn't capitalise on it. Isa and Escaré were both outside of Dixon. Like, that's how much we had space and an overlap, and it was dead simple. It was a nicely weighted pass as well. Escaré just fucked it up. Completely fucked it up. Didn't take his chance in this game that had been given by Lamb, his first chance of the season from Lamb, because he messed it up. And if Wigan would have scored then, they would have been ahead. And in those conditions, whoever was ahead in that second half was going to be really crucial. And London really did play to that. I mean, so, yeah, Morgan Escaré didn't take his first chance under Lamb at all. Sean O'Loughlin had a sloppy game off the bench. He gave away 3 or 4 penalties. One of them, the penalty that actually was the points that won the game for London. So, from his angle, that leadership wasn't really there. Hardacre, to me, still not got his timings right in attack. Not helped by Wigan having such inconsistency in their playmaking positions. I mean, it's unclear to me who's calling the play out there, who's meant to be getting things organising. And I think Samet was trying to do it in this game, but on this evidence, he isn't up to it because he was making the wrong kick choices all the time. He only put one grubber in that I can remember, and that caused havoc, and Wigan very, very nearly scored if Abdul wasn't more determined to get to the ball, or as determined, actually, I should say, because Wigan didn't lack for effort and determination. They just lacked for ability to not give away penalties and to make the right decisions. Yeah, and George Williams needs to be learned to be better in that area for me quickly, because he's the only pivot in the Wigan squad that is too good to drop. When we look at the options we've got, he is too good a player to drop. So he's going to have to step it up even another notch, really, because it's just not good enough. Positively from Wigan, Joe Bullock and Liam Paisley, I think they deserve good mentions. Bullock looked powerful. And probably Lamb just needs to get the length of his spells right to take full advantage of a player who's coming up from the Championship, because he looks a bit tired at the end of his spells, starts giving away penalties. Paisley took his try very well in the game and took innumerable short passes off of Williams and off of Powell, and was faultless, didn't drop the ball. So in those conditions, that was pretty pleasant. But yeah, Alex Walker for me was a star man. A huge point in the game that you touched about there was that that try from Dixon, right? Yeah, so Williams threw a good pass, found Escaré only a few metres out, a quarter of the line to himself, and instead of putting the ball down over the line, he dropped it, fumbled it, kind of fell behind him. Dixon, who was miles out of position, but not through his own fault, I think, that the whole defence had been sucked in. Wigan finally managed to cause some havoc and couldn't take advantage of it. He swooped it up and sprinted away 95 metres. So, yeah, and then other highlight moments in the game, you've got to throw in a couple of Walker's takes into the mix. The one in particular, he had to run about 15-20 metres, judge the ball in very strong and unpredictable winds. 1 minute the wind was blowing sort of directly up the pitch, then the next minute it would be blowing across the pitch, and it was pretty nasty out there as well, very wet too. And he ran, sprinted full pelt, took it, slid down to his knees, and then was able to get up and get a good play of the ball away that people like Keir and Dixon could make ground off the back of it. Really, yeah. I mean, it was hard in the weather to pick out many other highlights in that game, especially in the last 20 minutes. It was just a relentless stream of Broncos kicks to touch. It forced Wigan to start again and again and again from our own 20, and we didn't have the ability in this game to execute our skills well enough, really. There was 2 drop balls, and I think our last 3 possessions, maybe our last 4 possessions if you count the kick from the scrum we had very late on. And it was our most experienced playmakers, O'Loughlin and Powell, that were dropping the ball in those positions, some of our most experienced players. So yeah, frustrating from a Wigan point of view, but London were really robust, really resilient, and they've got a team to be proud of if no one really stood out and had a great game all around, because the weather didn't allow for that, Tim.
You done?
Yeah, I'm done, yeah. Don't give credit to Kieran Dixon for something that was Escaré's fuck-up, because people need to be held to account.
How did you find the trail finders at the Vallis Way ground itself? Let's focus on the possibly nicer bits of the day before the actual game started.
Oh, it was really nice to see everyone, and it was worth the drive. It really was worth the drive, because to get to hang out with Dave and Carsten for quite a bit of the build-up of the game, get to see both Pauls, meet Paul Chamberlain for the first time was really nice, as I said at the top of the show, and see Paul Campbell. Again, caught with Ian Gatwood as well. So it was nice to see these people and all that, and there was loads of kids in the stands around where we were sat that were there, I think, involved in the pre-match stuff, and they all had a great time, and a couple of them were trying to goad me a little bit as the game went on, I think. But
they'd obviously heard about your reputation.
They obviously had, but they didn't. They deserved it. They earned the win. Did London by being a bit more patient and a bit more resilient to things than Wigan were in this game in the end. Wigan should have scored more tries in the first half, didn't, and then really when you're chasing the game in those conditions, it's tough to execute your skills, and we weren't good enough to do it. So well done to London for controlling that second half. Yeah, that's it.
There we go. Okay, so we'll talk about the standings then, shall we? Now we're finished with that excellent result for London. Let's give credit. Let's give credit to London.
Which I did. I did.
Anyway,
there was talk before the game of Escaré maybe signing on loan for London. After that, they won't want him.
Well, where would he get in? Who would he replace?
Well, I think it's maybe when they weren't sure about Walker's injury situation, I suppose.
Yeah.
They haven't got much cover, have they? Let's be fair. But
no, that's true.
And he did give him a beautiful try assist. So lovely offload right to the path of the fastest player. It's not all on that. Wigan made far too many mistakes and errors, and other than the starting middles, were not impressive. Standings, Tim.
Yes, some team that wear amber and black sit top on points difference over St Helens. Both sides starting with 4 wins from 4. Warrington slipped to 3rd after their first loss of the year. Salford are in 4th and they have 6 points. Hull FC climbed to 5th on 4 points alongside Wakefield, Catlan, Hull KR and London. The bottom 3 includes the 2017 and 2018 champions Leeds and Wigan. Huddersfield are bottom, the only side without a win.
Yeah, the stat line of the week goes to Bill Tupu for that 2 try assists, 11 tackle busts, 270 metres, which, like we said, is the most by any player in the league so far this year, and 2 clean breaks. Well done to Bill Tupu. And for my player of the week, I'm going to stick with Bill Tupu. I thought it was an awesome performance by him against Leeds from the Kiwi Centre. What about you? Who was your player of the week?
Oh, see, if you've taken Tupou off the table,
I have to go him as well.
I have to go James Roby, because he's James Roby.
Yeah.
And again, just Roby gonna Roby. I know I keep saying it, but he was again fantastic. In terms of individual highlight of the week, well, it's got to be Kieran Dixon